Don't rely on Trump to save you. He may still do some good. We're calling for him to go after the tech giants, but don't rely on him to save you. Don't rely on anybody in central authority to save you. It looks like we, the people, are going to have to save ourselves. We're going to have to save our own country. And although I'm not recommending any specific action items right now, my most important piece of advice to you is to be prepared, be ready to take action, because the future of our country belongs to those who are willing to take action. The real goal of the Democrats is to fake all elections, but create the impression that they weren't fake. So to steal your democracy, well, your republic, and then to convince you that they didn't steal it, so that they have this air of authority. This is really the way they operate. But so much of what's being unveiled now in society is faked. So much of it is fraud that it's no surprise to all of us when we saw this college admissions scam, which was run by Democrats, by the way. You won't even see that reported in the media. They just say they were white people. You know, they got to blame white people, but they were white rich Democrats. And of course, they had to fake everything. They had to fake their way into college, just like they fake elections and they fake the news. They're faking everything. They're faking the science about climate change. Of course, they're faking everything. And everything's becoming so fake. The fake hate crime hoaxes, all that. What if we just mix and match? Some of these, just combine them. What if Jussie Smollett hired white chicks to beat him up? White chicks that are on their way to college to beat him up. Put a "Make America Great Again" hat on him. I mean, if he's going to hire somebody to beat him up, he could have at least found some white chicks, and then he could have made a donation to that nonprofit fraud scam thing, so that they could get into college by faking like they're rowing team champions. With enough Photoshop, I guess you could turn anybody into an athlete. I think we should take like a UFC fighter, like what's his name, McGregor, and Photoshop some white chick's face on his body, and just say, this is the she's on the transgender college wrestling team. Yeah, how about that? Get her into the college that way. And if you criticize that, you're full of hate. You see, if you criticize that, then you're going to be banned, because Photoshop is now the new reality, according to leftists. It's all insane. But getting to some more serious issues here, a couple of things I want to add to this censorship question. When you have Facebook now turning over censorship of all vaccine content to the vaccine industry, please understand this is corporate fascism, because Facebook really functions as an extension of government. It's a government surveillance front end. They work with the government. It's a spy machine. And then the corporations control the content. Well, let me ask you this question. What if Facebook turned over policing of all content about smoking and cigarettes to big tobacco? Yeah, seriously. What if Facebook said, hey, RJ Reynolds, come on in. We're going to let you decide what is authoritative speech on cigarettes and smoking and tobacco. That's exactly what they did with the vaccine industry. I mean, and that would be insane. If Facebook says, well, who knows more about cigarettes than the tobacco companies? Yes, they're authoritative. Well, the tobacco companies covered up the science on smoking for decades. You can go back to the Journal of the American Medical Association in the 1950s. They were bribed and paid off by the tobacco companies to run full-page ads that said, hey, doctors recommend Camels more than any other cigarette. Doctors smiling and smoking, and saying, this is good for your heart, good for your lungs, it's good. That's what the vaccine industry is today. It's all good. The science, don't worry about it, they say. There are no risks. Vaccines work all the time. And then Facebook says, yeah, you control the speech about vaccines. It's insane. Similar thing, like what about, from the point of view of liberals, what if the big oil companies were put in charge of policing all online speech about global warming? How insane would leftists go? Like literally, if you post a comment that says, burning fossil fuels causes climate change, then you're banned for life, because the oil companies are working with Facebook in this imaginary world, and they're banning you for that. That's what it would be like. Or big pharma. What if all health information were turned over to big pharma? Well, that's essentially what's happening. The vaccine issue is the entryway, the doorway for them to establish that, to where you won't be able to talk about anything without big pharma's uh, complicity or permission would be a better way to say it. And these attacks on ideas and speech are so dangerous to our society. And I want to give a shout out to Tucker Carlson. His very powerful video monologue, just I think it was yesterday or the day before, where he went after Media Matters and the SPLC, and he exposed that how do they have this nonprofit status when they are clearly a front for the Democrats? They are clearly political operatives. And then they put out targets of who they want to silence, and then that's used by sometimes attorneys general in different states, or used by the tech giants to decide who to silence. And they go after Christian groups and Bible groups, and just people who talk about gender fluidity in a critical way. For example, people who say that biology counts, that there are only two genders, they get targeted. And so Tucker Carlson nailed it. And Tucker Carlson refused to bow down, and he refused to apologize for something that he said 10 years ago on some comedy podcast, something that maybe he wouldn't say today. And he's right about this. And we need more people like Tucker Carlson to stand up and to say, no, we're not apologizing to your fake hysteria campaign. We're not going to be silenced. Because I guarantee you, if you go through and you scrutinize every word that every person has ever said for the last 20 years, everybody has said something that they maybe wish they could rephrase. Everybody has said something, if taken out of context, sounds a little crazy. Everybody has said something that maybe on second thought they wouldn't have stated it the same way. Everybody. It's just that they selectively prosecute the people that they want to silence. And that's their form of online tyranny and control. And that's what's so dangerous about this, because when you have Facebook listening to these organizations, it's horrific. All right, last thought, because this is the final segment of today's show. Last thought. The collapse, it looks like it's coming. Just to be upfront and honest here, I don't think that I don't think that the tyranny of the tech giants is going to be stopped anytime soon. I don't think that the fraud of elections pushed by Democrats is going to be stopped. And I don't think that the illegal immigration is going to be stopped either. I think that America is being overrun by demonic, satanic forces, by radical communist forces, and by people who are brainwashed with so much hatred for America and for Trump and for the Constitution that they can no longer be reasoned with. And I want to put out a warning to everybody here, and I save this for the very end. A warning that don't rely on Trump to save you. He may still do some good. We're calling for him to go after the tech giants, but don't rely on him to save you. Don't rely on anybody in central authority to save you. It looks like we, the people, are going to have to save ourselves. We're going to have to save our own country. And although I'm not recommending any specific action items right now, my most important piece of advice to you is to be prepared, be ready to take action, because the future of our country belongs to those who are willing to take action. You've got Obama from his command bunker organizing, what they call community organizing all across the country. They're going to be ready with teams of violent Antifa terrorists. They're planning a mass uprising. They're planning violence. If we sit back and do nothing, we will be overrun and we will lose our country. And although I never espouse violence, and I say don't be the one who fires the first shot, nothing like that, we all do have the right to defend our communities and to defend our lives, to defend our families, defend our nation, and especially defend our borders, and even defend our president. I have a feeling that the 2020 election is not going to be decisively decided. I think it's going to be contested. And I think that the future belongs to those who are willing to defend their nation and defend their president and defend themselves against the zombie infestation of mindless, hate-filled leftists who are planning to try to do a communist type of takeover, a communist revolt in the spirit of Mao, of China, the communist revolution. This is what they're planning. And if you let them get away with it, they will gladly do it. They will take your country from you. They will take your life. The only thing that's stopping them right now, believe me, is the fact that there are, according to current estimates now, 500 million guns in the hands of Americans. Not the 300 million you've heard, but 500 million firearms in the hands of the American people. This is why they're pushing gun control so aggressively. They have to take away the guns first before they can succeed in their mission to sweep across America and install a communist regime in power. And when they try that, we need to be ready to defend our nation. We need to be ready, mentally ready. You need to have the skill set. You need to have the equipment. You need to have the personal resolve. You need to pray for guidance from God. Do not put your faith in any one person, not even the president. Put your faith in God and put your actions in the hands of your fellow neighbors and fellow patriots and fellow Americans. Be ready. You will be called upon, I believe, to defend your nation in the next few years. I think it's coming. Stay tuned, stay informed, read Infowars.com. You want to read my website, it's naturalnews.com. There's a lot coming. We'll stay online as long as we can. Thank you for listening.
Well, I've got some really good news for all the viewers and all the listeners. This was going to be a big loss because we couldn't get the deep earth crystals anymore. It's been a 1.5-year fight, but we have the original producer, the original crystal source, the best atomic iodine in the world. X2, ladies and gentlemen, is back. X2 is back. Deep earth crystal, not from seaweed, where it's not pure, it can be contaminated, but true atomic iodine. We get it from the DEA approved. It has to be held in a contained facility before it's then put into the process that makes it legal to put out. Because anybody who's watched Breaking Bad knows true atomic iodine is used in the production of methamphetamine. It's not a drug, it's not bad, it's good for you. You have to have it. But it's very hard to get atomic iodine. Nobody has ever really done this until we worked with researchers and others in the last few years to do it. And so we've gone back to the original producer, and we've been able to do a deal to not be put over a barrel from the extractors of it, the oil companies, to bring it to you. So X2 is back. We got it. This deal just happened about a month ago. We rushed it into production. It's been bottled. The labels are being put on today. And then it's going to be on an 18-wheeler right here to Austin from the plant in the Rockies. And it's going to be shipped out to you. Be sure and sign up for auto ship. Get an additional 10% off, the 25% off celebration of the fact that we got it back and we're relaunching it. Research the iodine conspiracy. Find out why it's so important. Find out why the globalists don't want you to have the good halogens, they want you to have the bad halogens at InfoWarsStore.com. That's the umbrella site. InfoWarsLife.com takes you right to the supplements. And this is the King Daddy. Ladies and gentlemen, it is X2 Original, now back at InfoWarsStore.com.